Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm actually going to be talking about the Super Mario Galaxy film. This is a follow-up to that 2023 animated Mario film that we got from a couple years ago, also from Illumination Entertainment, also from Universal Studios. In this follow-up, you guys, we find Mario and Luigi um, trying to rescue Princess Rosalina from space from Bowser Jr., who is obviously the son of Bowser. Bowser Jr. is also the person, or the other character that is trying to get his father Bowser, who is basically in captivity of Mario and Luigi after taking a mini shroom in the first film. Basically, he's trying to get his father back. He's trying to earn his father's trust again. He's basically trying to impress his father over the course of this film. And basically, the two of them are trying to get Rosalina and the Luma's space powers to essentially take their universe plan into order, where they basically both rule the universe together. So over the course of this film, Mario and Luigi, as well as Peach and Toad and some other characters from the Mario universe, have to stop Bowser and Bowser Jr. from succeeding with their plan of stealing Princess Rosalina and the Lumas to succeed with their space mission. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed this new Super Mario Galaxy film. I thought this is a pretty good follow-up to the first film. I will say right off the bat, I do think that 2023 animated Mario film is a better overall experience than this film is. I thought that film had a better story. It reintroduced us to those characters in a really fun way. Really kind of brought us a multi-generational Mario film where if you played the Mario games all the way back in the 80s and if you play the Mario games now, basically all of those people that kind of fit into that timeline of when Mario started to where Mario is now could enjoy that film equally. I feel like this new film is more so for the more current Mario fans. I would say ages 25 and under would probably appreciate this film the most because it's more so Mario games that have come out within their lifetime, more so than people that have played it all the way back in the 80s, all the way back in the 90s, all the way back in my childhood, which also would have been, 90s and 2000s. Though there is a couple of small stuff, like there's definitely a lot of Mario 3 elements in this movie. I do feel like more of the current generation of Mario fans would probably appreciate this film a little bit more. But I do want to talk about some positives and negatives as to why I overall really enjoyed the film, but some negatives along the way. Like I said, it's not quite as good as that 2023 film, but I do feel like there's some different kind of negatives this film had that prevent this from being as good as that original film, while also still being a very enjoyable film experience as well. So for my positives of this film, first and foremost, guys, this is a very, very fun film to watch. It's an absolute total blast to watch from start to finish, whether it's the visuals, whether it's the fun references, whether it is all those fun cues and ideas from Mario 3, from Super Mario World, from Super Mario 64, from Super Mario Odyssey, from both of the Super Mario Galaxy games. They find so many interesting ways to incorporate all that stuff from the games and make a really interesting story overall. And other characters that we encounter also from the Nintendo universe of games that the Mario characters team up with to succeed with their mission of rescuing Princess Rosalina and making sure Bowser and Bowser Jr. don't succeed with their plans. It's just a total blast from start to finish. You will not be bored with it at all. So if you like Mario fan, if you're a big Mario fan in the slightest, whether it's the games or just the overall IP in general, I have a hard time believing that you wouldn't enjoy watching this movie. Also, there's just tons of fun references for the Nintendo fans to find here. There's even really, really small stuff where if you played Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo, the scenes where basically Bowser's trying to get on Mario's good side is kind of along the line of how he behaved in that Mario game from the Super Nintendo, where he really was kind of trying to get on Mario's good side to earn his castle back from the Smithy gang. So for those who might have remembered that Super Mario RPG game from way, way back in the day, you might remember what I'm talking about. There's like little stuff like that where if you've played any kind of Mario game over the course of the years, you're going to catch up on that. You're going to catch all the references. You're going to know that when Peach is writing a letter to Mario, it's very much in the vein of how Super Mario 64 began with what Mario was doing before that overall adventure started in that game. So just tons of fun stuff to pick up on. So if you're a big Nintendo fan, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with that stuff. This film is also less pop music heavy, so if that really bothered you in the first film where it's a Take On Me song, or it's a song from AC/DC playing, or a song from Kill Bill that they're overusing for the 100th time in film. I think they kind of back away from that a little bit this time around. I think that overall benefits the movie. It doesn't come off as annoying as when the first film did it. It feels a little bit more fresh this time. They incorporate more so Mario music cues that incorporate more of the things you heard from the games this time around. So I would say the score kind of leans more in that direction more so than including pop songs. So for those who were kind of annoyed by that in the first film, that is one mistake I feel like they correct this time around of not incorporating that as often. And I do feel like that overall helps the overall film experience feel fresh and feel good, and overall just feel more like a Mario movie. I also thought the overall addition of Yoshi, as well as a mystery Nintendo character, for those who might not know, who is also as well in this film, that's also a Nintendo character. I would say those two kind of stuck out to me as far as the best new addition characters for the story. Donald Glover does all the voices and sound effects for Yoshi, and he does a very, very good job of portraying Yoshi. So if you're a big Donald Glover fan, if you like his style of comedy and music, definitely brings a lot to the Yoshi character, I thought. And he just was overall written very well in the movie. So even when Yoshi's not speaking or doing something, just the way he's written when he takes a power up or takes on an enemy or anything like that, is I thought was a lot of fun in this movie. So a lot of the additional new characters, like I said, specifically that mystery character that I'm trying not to spoil here, um, a lot of fun to watch them in this movie. And overall, too, I thought the overall character chemistry was very effective in this film. Whether it is just a scene where it's Mario and Bowser trying to negotiate with each other, or it's Peach and Rosalina trying to communicate with each other, or Yoshi trying to become friends with somebody, or Toad trying to tolerate Yoshi, because it's very clear right away that Toad is kind of annoyed with Yoshi in the earlier scenes in the movie. Just the overall character chemistry was fun to watch. It's one of those films, because when you watch a film that you don't like, you kind of get bored with the characters right away. You're not invested in their chemistry. I do feel like Mario Galaxy does a good job of having character chemistry that you care about, that you're intrigued by, that you feel invested with. Whether it is, Luigi getting a hold of Bowser Jr.'s paintbrush, whether it is, like I said, Peach and Rosalina trying to work through something. Thought the overall chemistry between characters was overall very effective in the film, and that's something I thought the writing of the film was very effective with overall. For my next positive, I also thought the overall visual look of the film was very strong too. Whether it is a Blade Runner-esque city that they go to, or a casino world that's very much in the vein of something that Super Mario 2 would have done, because a lot of those villainous characters that are there in this film whenever they show up there. Just the overall look of the film is very, very impressive. You can definitely see where 3 years of work and a 3 year turnaround for this film really came into play. You can really tell they paid a lot of attention to the detail of the film. So I thought the overall visual look, specifically as a lifelong Mario fan, I thought was very worthwhile for watching in this movie. There's also a scene that's told in anime, and there's also a scene that's told with puppets. I always love it when an anime film or an animated film goes outside of its bubble and does other stuff that you're not really expecting for the film to do, whether it's temporarily going to live action or temporarily using a different animated style like anime from Japan, or using puppets to kind of talk about something of a character's past, something that the film does very effectively here in one of the scenes. Very, very effective here. So that anime sequence and that puppet sequence, very, very effective. I was not expecting it to be as cool as it was when they were showing that. So very, very cool that Illumination tried something new with something like that. And it was very cool to see a flashback of sorts for both scenes told in a very, very unique way that really brings something interesting to the viewer. But for my negatives of this movie, unfortunately, the storyline in this film, for those who might have saw the negative reviews for this movie, unfortunately, that is true that the storyline is very thin this time around. It is very basic of Mario and Luigi have to stop the bad guy. They have to go to point A to point B to stop the bad guy. Once the bad guy is stopped, basically the movie's done with. I feel like the first film from 2023 was so much better about giving Mario an arc, making him the character that we know and love, that he's kind of not very good at what he does at the beginning of the film, but by the time the film's over with, his combat skills are better. He's a better plumber. He's better about navigating through the Mushroom Kingdom that he was earlier on in that first film. And I feel like this time around, we really don't get that. We really don't get an arc for Mario. We really don't get an arc for Luigi or Peach or Toad or any of those characters. I feel like a lot of the stuff that we saw with them early on in the film is the same stuff we see towards the end of the film, how they really didn't grow as characters very much. And I feel like that is a little disappointing because they did have 3 full years to get this film made. And though it's great that they visually made it wonderful and they have a bunch of other stuff that they absolutely did perfectly right, I think one thing the film really lacks here is a good solid storyline to tell for people who may not be as familiar with the Mario property. Overall, too, I thought the overall humor of the first film was more effective, though the film does have some very humorous moments for sure. I do feel like the overall humor in this film didn't feel as effective as it did back in 2023. So humor-wise, I thought they could have done a little bit better job of being a little bit funnier with this material. And like I mentioned before, there really is no character arc for the characters this time around. They kind of suggest a parenting message for Bowser with him and Bowser Jr., and they kind of suggest some stuff with Peach and Rosalina that kind of connects them together and things like that. But overall, there's really not a character arc for any of these characters. It's just kind of point A to point B. They succeed with their mission. Obviously, they run into challenges while succeeding with that mission, but overall, there's really not a teaching mechanism. There's really nothing that a character has to overcome to become a better person or something that they learn by the time the film is over with. I feel like the characters that we saw near the beginning of the film are essentially the same characters we see by the end of the movie. I also was kind of disappointed that we really didn't get more Brooklyn scenes. There's one scene that kind of suggests what Yoshi was up to before the film started, but other than that, we really don't get any Brooklyn scenes at all. We don't get to see Mario's parents again. We don't see his uncles again. We don't get to see any characters that Charles Martinet from the first film, who also voices the Mario character over the past several decades. We don't really get to see him voice any characters this time around. So because I do miss those Brooklyn scenes so much from the 2023 film, it would have been nice, even if it was just brief, that Mario and Luigi kind of go back to Brooklyn temporarily to catch up with their relatives. I thought that could have been beneficial for the story overall. And like I mentioned before, I feel like this film is more so for the current Mario fans. It does feel like something that somebody that played Super Mario Odyssey or Super Mario 64, Super Mario Galaxy, kind of that N64 era through the current era, would probably benefit the most as far as catching up with the references and everything. I do feel like Super Mario World and earlier fans, like people that have been playing Mario from like 1994 and earlier, probably aren't going to have as much fun with this movie because most of the references are based off some of the later Mario games. So I thought that was one aspect of the story that could have been better. They could have had more for the retro Mario fans rather than just all stuff for the current modern gamers of Mario. And overall, I thought the overall time we spent with the King Wart character, who's also a new addition to the cast, he's basically a Super Mario 2 villain that helps Bowser Jr. out in one scene. I thought more time could have been spent with him. I also thought more closure to his character could have happened too, because he's just kind of closed off at one point, and we really don't get any closure of what him and Bowser Jr. were kind of planning the whole time, kind of how he was incorporated with all of this. He's just kind of another bad character that just so happens to work for Bowser Jr., and the film really doesn't clarify what was in it for him whenever we do kind of see him doing King Wart stuff that we would see him doing in Super Mario 2. So I thought more closure with that character or more time with that character could have benefited the story overall. But overall, guys, I'm going to give Super Mario Galaxy a 9 out of 10. I think it's an absolutely great sequel to that 2023 Mario film. Tons of stuff to love about it. Tons of stuff as a Mario fan in particular. You know, I'm wearing this really nice shirt to the review here too. Like I said, a couple negatives along the way. Could have used a better storyline, more character arcs, more humor I thought would have benefited the film, more scenes in Brooklyn, more stuff than just the current Mario fans. I think stuff for the retro Mario fans could have benefited the film a lot. And more time and more closure on the King Wart character, I thought would have benefited the film as well, because we really kind of haven't seen that character since Super Mario 2. But like I said, 9 out of 10 for me. Really enjoyed Super Mario Galaxy. As a Mario fan, I was not disappointed at all. But like I said, a couple things along the way that the film could have improved upon. But overall, it's an enjoyable experience that I'm going to give a 9 out of 10 to.